Her triumphs.
I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them.
Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
All right, with me now is senior defender for the BYU women's soccer team, Natalie Wels. Natalie, thank you so much for coming here with me.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So you've been named a captain. What was it like for you when they told you were going to be captain for this year's team?
I was a bit surprised, to be honest. I don't think of myself as kind of like that captain, player, or member of a team. So I was surprised, but also very honored. And I feel like, I don't know, a duty, to really be there for my team and do the best I can. If they've put this trust and their trust in me, essentially, then, I'm going to do my best.
Are you like, guys, you better call me captain from here on out when you're...
Totally.
Yeah.
My name is no longer Natalie. It's Captain.
It's Captain, or I won't respond to you at all. Speaking of the captain, you're like the only senior on the team. Is that kind of a weird thing for you?
It's strange. Honestly, it is very strange being the only senior. I did not see this coming, but, it's been interesting.
Does it make you feel old?
Yes.
Even though they're only like a year younger than you.
Literally, yeah. I do feel old. When we did pictures on the first day of like our fall camp and we did class pictures, I'm not going to lie, it was a little lonely being the only one in that picture.
Sad. That's really fun, though. You're coming off a national championship game appearance, which is absolutely incredible. One of the best runs in BYU women's soccer history. But what do you like about this year's team? You guys had a great spring, really good spring. Now you're starting in the fall. Mm-hmm. What do you like about this year's team?
We have a lot of experience that we're super duper excited about. We have a lot of returning players coming from our national championship game. And then also out of the 8 freshmen that we have with us this fall, 7 of them graduated early in January and have been training with us since then. So, we were able to just pick up and get going, and there was no really kind of lull so we've just been able to get going, and we're really excited.
You've played a lot of soccer in your days. You've lived a lot of life. You served a mission. Then you have these little freshman girls coming in after a national championship run. So I mean that's got to be a lot for them. And even though they could be extremely talented, I mean that's they're coming into an incredible program and a great soccer conference. So have you given them any advice since they've entered the program?
Yeah, I feel like I've probably given them more advice than they want to hear. But we've talked to them a lot about just being confident in themselves. They're here for a reason. They've earned it and they belong here. And so to really believe in themselves and believe that, and confidence goes a long ways in sports, as you know, and just being confident and believing yourself is half the battle.
I love that advice. I think that's really, really awesome. And I want to get to know about you a little bit. When did you start playing soccer?
I would assume I was around 6 years old. It was just, that very beginning, the rec soccer days when your dad's the coach and you're just playing with all the neighborhood kids. So way back then.
And was it your dad or somebody that saw that potential in you, like, oh my gosh, she could be really good?
I definitely think my parents were kind of the first to realize and be like, wait a second, she's scoring a lot of these goals and she's getting to the ball way before any of these other kids. And then from there, coach after coach was able to just help me become better and better and see the potential and help me along the way.
That doesn't give me much hope for my own son who just lays on the field. I'm like, maybe in a couple of years he'll be good. No, but they come out the way they are. Was soccer your main sport, or did you grow up playing other sports as well?
I grew up playing a few other sports. My family is big into tennis, actually. So kind of grew up playing tennis, doing soccer, and along with soccer comes all the track and running.
Right.
So naturally, I did all that too. But those were kind of the main sports I focused on. Oh, in addition to gymnastics.
You did gymnastics as well?
I did.
Oh my gosh, you've really done it all.
Kind of dabbled all over, yeah.
Oh my gosh, but soccer was your thing.
Yep, soccer was my thing.
Soccer was your love. What position did you first gravitate towards in soccer?
I first gravitated towards being an outside midfielder, so kind of that winger spot, running up and down the field. I was lucky enough to be born with good endurance, and so that was a good fit for me. I just kind of ran up and down all day and did that until I transitioned into more of a forward role. And then from there, actually, I went straight back to center defense, where I have stayed and where I've been happiest.
That's where you're most comfortable?
Yeah.
When you were in high school, did you think you were going to be a collegiate player? Was that a goal of yours?
That was definitely a goal and a dream, and has been a dream since I was probably 8 years old playing rec soccer. I've always wanted to play college soccer, so it's been amazing to live that dream.
And now that you're a collegiate player, do you have dreams of playing professionally?
I haven't given it too much thought until recently, actually. I've kind of started realizing that, it could actually be a reality. It was something that I watched the professionals play and never really thought that could be me, but being where I am now, realizing that it's a possibility, I've started to think about it more. So we'll see what the future holds.
I love it. Well, we can't wait to see. First things first, though, this season. We got to see how this season goes. Who was giving you attention when you were being recruited? What colleges were looking at you in high school?
A lot of the Utah colleges. So I'm from Alpine, Utah, and I love my family, love home, and so I wanted to stay near that. And so I talked a lot to UVU, University of Utah, BYU, kind of the trifecta in this area.
Yep. And then you originally committed to UVU. Why did you pick that school?
I did. So at the time, Brent Anderson, who is now one of our assistant coaches, was the head coach at UVU, and I have always admired Brent and his coaching style, and that was one major selling point for me that I really liked about UVU and wanted to make me go there.
He's a phenomenal guy. And then you went up to the University of Utah. What made you make that shift?
Yeah, so that happened because at the time I was recruited to UVU, I was playing forward. And then during my high school career, I moved back to center defender. And so with that transition, kind of changed what I was looking for, and the University of Utah fit more of what I wanted in that role and what I was kind of looking for.
Okay, so back then, your dad graduated from BYU. I believe you had a sister that played gymnastics, right? That did gymnastics at BYU. So what did they think of you going to the University of Utah?
They were shocked, for sure. We hadn't really thought that would happen, especially after I had committed to UVU. We were on board for that. And then when I told them, I think I'm actually going to commit to Utah. And so when I did that, they were very supportive. I love my family, and they're amazing. So they were behind me 100%, although we had to go shopping for some red stuff because none of that was around our house.
It was all burned.
Oh, yeah.
So you, on your website, it said you wanted to go into medical field. Did that have any pull to you deciding to go to the University of Utah?
Yes, both my parents are actually doctors, and so I grew up just being surrounded by that kind of thing. And so the University of Utah, as you know, has a medical school there, and was very enticing in that regard. And so I thought I'm going to go into medicine just like my parents. And so the University of Utah is great.
Yeah, I love that. And you spent 2 years at the University of Utah. What do you take away from that experience there?
From that experience up there, I learned a lot about just loving people and being able to connect with everybody. Growing up in Utah County, you're kind of in a bubble. And so I didn't have much exposure to different cultures, different beliefs. And so going to the University of Utah, I was able to experience a lot more exposure and gain such a greater appreciation for so many different kinds of people, so many different beliefs, ethnicities, and all of that. So that was a really awesome experience that I was able to have, not only just at the school, but even within our team.
So what was your playing career like at the University of Utah and your relationship with your coaches?
Yeah, so at the University of Utah, I started at the center back position for almost all of my freshman season and my entire sophomore season. So I was able to play a lot there and had a really awesome relationship with the coaches and with all my teammates. So I loved the team and the girls and all the connections we made, which was a really positive experience.
And you had a decent amount of success as a team, right, while you were playing there?
Yeah, we did. My freshman season, we made it to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. So we had a lot of success that season. And the following season, we didn't do as well, made it into the tournament, but lost in the early rounds.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you played every single match at the University of Utah. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I was really blessed and really lucky to be able to join their team and just jump right into playing.
Was that just something they came and there was a need and they're like, you're starting, so let's do this?
Exactly, yeah. There was a spot that needed to be filled, which was also part of the reason why I transferred, because there was an opening there and an opportunity to step in and fill that spot. And so I just jumped right in and got going.
Something that happened to you there obviously inspired you to want to go on a mission. Is that right? How did that come about? You're playing soccer and then mid-career, you're like, I'm going to go serve a mission. How'd that happen?
Yeah, that was very unexpected. At the time I started school at the University of Utah, I had not yet received my patriarchal blessing. Mm-hmm. And so while I was there, I was able to receive that and receive a lot of guidance as to what the future holds for me. And so a big part of it came through inspiration and my blessing. And then in addition to that, I was able to have a lot of missionary experiences up there with about half my team not being members of the church and a lot of the student body not being members either. Mm-hmm. So I was able to have so many experiences just sharing my beliefs and showing what I stand for through that, which I absolutely loved and wanted to do more of. And so I'm grateful for those experiences because it completely prepared me for my mission. And I know that that was divine guidance that God, kind of turned me in the direction to go to the University of Utah to prepare me for those experiences I had on my mission.
So cool. So you receive your mission call, you open it, it says Mongolia. What do you remember feeling in that moment?
Complete shock. I'll be honest, I didn't know where Mongolia was. I hate to say it. I knew it existed, but I had no clue where it was. And when I opened it and read Mongolia, my whole family thought I was joking. They're like, okay, nice try. Where are you actually going? And then I tried pronouncing the capital Ulaanbaatar. I said something crazy and they're like, wait, she's serious. She's going there.
Your mom and dad were like, what? I bet they were freaking out. What language do they speak there? Is it Mongolian?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So, it's hard to generalize this, but what was your experience like with the people over in Mongolia?
Absolutely incredible. The people are what truly made my mission amazing, as people always make everything amazing. Those connections you make and the love you feel for them was the best thing ever. They're such selfless people and are so accepting. And so being able to serve alongside them and try to serve them, even though I felt like I was being served more than I was serving, was such an awesome experience.
Were you able to show off some of your soccer skills while you were over there?
Unfortunately, not too much.
Really?
In Mongolia, the three national sports are archery, wrestling, and horseback riding. So I didn't do much of those national sports, although they do love basketball. So I actually played a lot of basketball on my mission.
What were the three again? Horseback riding. What were the other two?
Archery and wrestling.
Really?
I did more wrestling with the Relief Society sisters than I played soccer. That's something they actually do in ward activities. It was amazing.
Wait, I got to know more about that, though. Is it everyone's in a circle and then two women go in the middle and start wrestling? What's that like?
Exactly. There's a circle just kind of drawn out in the weeds, and then two people go in the circle, and you either just try to push them outside the circle or get them down, and that's that.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Oh my gosh. Definitely something you would not see here in Utah, but maybe you should start up a club or something.
I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, I think you should. Did you get involved in that? Would you wrestle too as a missionary?
We were, they pulled us in. We tried our best to stay out of it, but they literally would drag us in. So,
and they're small people, right?
They are short, but they are built. They're surprisingly very strong.
Okay. So what was your record against the Relief Society Women of Mongolia?
I hate to say it, but I'm probably like 0 for 7. I figure
7
as a
wrestling
missionary,
matches.
Oh yeah, there were a lot. But I figure as a missionary, it's better to play it safe.
Better to lose. Yeah.
Let them feel good.
I feel you. I feel you. So the University of Utah, you said that prepared you to want to serve a mission, but before you left on your mission, you decided to transfer to BYU. Why was that?
So as I was preparing to leave on my mission, I got thinking about the kind of environment I wanted to be in post-mission and moving forward with my life. And that wasn't necessarily the University of Utah. As much as I loved it, it wasn't necessarily the environment I wanted to be surrounded by as I am, looking to get married and doing all that, making those important decisions that kind of set up the rest of your life. While I was on my mission, I was just focused on, being the best missionary I could be, being as obedient as I can, completely devoting myself to my service. And then I was going to come back and completely devote myself to soccer. That was the plan. And so I would focus on my mission, but at the same time, I was so excited to come back and play soccer at BYU especially.
Coming up next, Natalie talks about the transition from Utah to BYU, how a sledding accident almost killed her, and one of her most memorable missionary moments. This is Her Why. Let's continue our conversation with BYU soccer captain Natalie Wels. So what was that transition like going from the University of Utah to BYU? What was that transition like for you?
It's always hard kind of joining a new team, especially after the season they had after having an undefeated season back in 2019. And they had done so great. And then coming into that team was a little bit difficult kind of finding my place.
Yeah.
But I felt very lucky and blessed because I joined with 5 other new girls too, actually, which is pretty unheard of joining in the spring. There were 4 other transfers and then a early graduate freshman. And so I was really lucky to kind of have them as a support too. And that experience looking back has actually helped me know how to help our new freshmen as they kind of joined our team after a really awesome season too. And so it's been a cool way to be able to connect with them.
Oh, I love that. I'm sure they're so grateful to have you on the team. So before you even play for the BYU soccer team, COVID-19 delays the season, and then you get into a sledding accident that was so crazy. What happened?
Yeah, it was a wild experience. So I was sledding up American Fork Canyon at Tibble Fork and the little bowl that's behind the reservoir. And going down, I guess I came down the hill and then was on one of those little plastic saucer sleds, was spinning around, had no clue, literally the worst. Had no clue where I was going and ended up hitting a boulder at the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
And so luckily my legs were spared, but my upper body was not so lucky.
So you had some life-threatening injuries, is that right?
Yes, yeah. I'll just give you the list.
Yeah.
So I ended up fracturing my right humerus, which then required surgery to repair, and I've got a nice looking scar. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I've got that.
My gosh.
And then broke 4 ribs on my right side and 4 vertebrae in my back. Just broke off the little transverse processes. And then I also fractured my skull, that was the biggest miracle probably because it was a basilar skull fracture. And usually when that happens, there's bleeding on the brain. There's just a lot of bad things that go on. But I was so lucky that it was just a fracture. My brain was spared and everything was intact. So that was super lucky.
Oh my gosh.
But in addition to that, I also had a collapsed lung and a liver laceration.
What on earth? That is just crazy. It's crazy that you are here playing soccer, and talking to me right now after all of that. Oh my gosh. And not that it's the most important thing by any means. The most important thing is that you're alive and you're here and you're okay. But how long was it before you were able to step on the field?
I was actually back on the field mid-February, believe it or not. So
that happened in January.
That happened mid-December. So 2 months.
Mid-December. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 months. And then I was back on the field playing, although looking back now, I can honestly say that it was rough.
Oh my gosh.
Not only was it a struggle to get my body to do what I was trying to get it to do, but Yeah, my touch was terrible. I will apologize to all my teammates now that I'm really sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't even imagine that. So can you still do, with that skull fracture, can you still do headers and all that kind of stuff and you're fine?
I have no limitations right now.
Oh
which is
my gosh.
such a blessing.
That is incredible. Well, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you're back on the team and that you're okay. What was that experience like playing against the team that you used to play for once you started playing again?
At first it was very strange because I knew so many of the girls on the team. Now, since then, they have gotten a new coaching staff, and I only know about like 2 girls on the team. And so it's not as weird playing against them because it is such a new team that I'm unfamiliar with. So it's just kind of like any other team.
Right.
But it was weird playing against the teammates you used to play with and like against the coach who used to coach you. It's always a weird thing.
So obviously a lot of the girls probably feel that rivalry. I mean, it's just on campus whether you grew up with the rivalry or not.
Yeah.
So when you play, is that kind of a strange thing for you to like watch people with that emotion because you're like, oh, I actually kind of like this team. You know, like, is that weird for you?
Yes and no. Now that they're the other team, I feel that rivalry with BYU. Although when I was at Utah, I was always like, yeah, we're going to beat them. Like there was a rivalry against BYU, but now it's obviously switched.
Right.
But there's a little extra kind of motivation to go out and prove that I made the right choice. You know, I'm on the right team and always love proving that when we play against them.
Well, you did make the right choice, just so you know, Natalie. COVID-19 gave you the opportunity to play one more season. Why did you take that opportunity?
I took that opportunity because I feel like personally I have unfinished business that I need to take care of. Throughout my time here at BYU, I've kind of experienced a lot of injuries that have held me back a little bit. But this year, I'm really excited to get one more chance to just prove myself and give it my all.
You mentioned you didn't want to be distracted by making a decision of where to play soccer while on your mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which means you were trying to stay focused on your missionary work. What were 1 or 2 experiences that really impacted your life spiritually while on your mission?
One of the ones that sticks out the most to me is probably there was a time on my mission when we were setting up to teach English classes. So we were closing the dividers in the cultural hall in like the chapel to do classes. And the divider ran over my foot and there was a piece of metal sticking out that cut my foot open. So it was bleeding, and one of the Relief Society sisters that was there helping us came in and was like, oh, we got to take you to the hospital. But she didn't know how to drive, although her family had a cart. So her son, who was not active but was baptized when he was 8 years old, she volunteered her son to take us to the hospital. And so it was actually the coolest experience ever because we were able to become really, really close with him. And he would then help us with lessons and he would help us with baptisms. He was always helping us. And actually 6 months after returning from my mission, he sent me a message saying that he had just submitted his mission papers and is now serving a mission. And so it was so awesome to see kind of the sacrifices that the members there made, like the sister, you know, being willing to help us because not many people have cars, but she was like willing to offer theirs to help us, and the hospital was far away. And then her son being willing to help us, and then connecting with him and being able to see God perform his work and help us connect with him. And now it has affected all those that he's serving on his mission.
That is so incredible. Also, you need to be wrapped in bubble wrap.
I don't know what my deal is.
But it's all for a purpose. It's all for a reason.
Exactly.
Do you keep in contact with a lot of the people from your mission still?
I do, yeah. There's quite a few companions I still keep in contact with, and kind of the younger members that we were able to become really close with. That.
How's your Mongolian?
A little rusty.
Yeah.
But I was able to work at the MTC for about 2 years after my mission, where I was able to work in the TRC and be taught by the new missionaries learning Mongolian. So I was able to keep it up a little bit, hopefully, but it's definitely rusty.
Well, they had no idea what you were saying. So according to them, you had the best Mongolian they'd ever heard, and that's all that matters. How did you have time to do that while you were playing soccer?
It was crazy, super busy, but with that job, I was able to create a schedule and availability around my schedule, which was super helpful. And I was able to just kind of do it all.
That's crazy. I love it. What's the one thing you want to see yourself accomplish your senior year?
This year, I really want to one thing would be to help my teammates and my team be the best we can possibly be, however that may be, and help them in whatever way that may be. So I want to do it for them and help them. But in addition to that, I want to be able to look back on the season and say that I gave it my all and there was nothing else I could have done. I did my best and left it all out there.
And that's all you can do. I love that so much. I'm talking to senior defender for the BYU women's soccer team, Natalie Wels. Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I'm glad you're here and healthy, and good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.